Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you join us tonight for our Center for the Arts Theater December Showcase. It's my privilege and pleasure to welcome you to this event. I'm Stephanie Poxon. I'm the director of the Center for the Arts, and I know we're in for a fabulous evening of entertainment tonight. This showcase marks the fourth and final showcase of our December series. We had two showcases last week, and we have two showcases this week. Just earlier tonight at 5 o'clock, we had our Visual Arts Gallery presented by our Visual Arts team. And now we're doing our wrap-up show here, the Theater Showcase. I'm really just so proud of how these teachers, all of them in these four different disciplines, have had to transfer what they normally are used to doing on stage, in their gallery, in their classrooms, in person, and transfer all of this to a virtual setting. And for the most part, things have just gone amazingly well. The students' talent has been showcased, and we're just so proud of everyone. So again, thank you for joining us tonight for this event. Now, of course, I need to introduce our two Center for the Arts theater teachers. We have Mr. Todd Ritter and Miss Shania Taylor, and I'm going to turn the floor over to both of them. So take it away, guys. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Foxon. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Again, my name is Todd Ritter, and I teach levels 1, 2, and 3. And Ms. Taylor, well, to my left, is level 4. I want to thank you for coming out tonight. Who would have thought a year ago that we would be here meeting virtually for what is the strangest showcase that I've had in my 21 years of teaching? Tonight, we want to share with you our reflections of the past year in a show that we've called 2020 Hindsight.
Art comes the need for us to tell a story, to express ourselves. And 2020 has given us a lot to tell, a lot of voices to be heard. And so it was very important to Mr. Ritter and myself that we capture this moment in time. Our students you guys are our next playwrights, our next historians, our next artists. You know, as Hamilton says, history has its eye on you. Right. And so we really needed to capture the things that were going on in our own backyards through your voices. So, you know, as Mr. Ritter said, you know, we had a lot of conversation. We talked a lot. We read a lot. We, discussed everything that was going on in 2020. And from our students' creativity, from their imagination, from their time in quarantine and all of that, we brought out the creation. Creativity belongs in each of us as artists, and to create means to relate. And I think that that's exactly what we're doing in our showcase, is creating and relating through the voices of our students.
"2020 has been a challenging year for all of us. At the beginning of the year, we lost the late, great Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna. However, through his legacy, he reminded us that we must see the positives in the negatives, the light in the dark, and approach every misfortune with optimism. Everything negative, pressure, challenges, is all an opportunity for us to rise. In the words of the Black Mamba himself, this is the moment I accept the most challenging times will always be behind me and in front of me. Join us as we look back through the year in reflection."
So, I'm in Spanish class, and my friend was on his phone, and he said, "Have you guys heard about the virus that's in China that's spreading everywhere?" And my Spanish teacher assured us that there's nothing to worry about. It was probably just a rumor. So we joked around with it, and everyone sanitized their hands. Every time someone coughed or sniffled, we would all scream. And people stood at the doors of classes with huge hand sanitizers and would squirt everyone's hand that fast. It was was kind of funny at the time. And we would like block out people who wouldn't like accept the hand sanitizer. And a few weeks later, we were told that we would go on a 2-week break. Turns out it was our last day of school.
March 6th, a week before the school year would be sent in an entirely new direction. Specialty centers sent out their long-awaited acceptance letters. 8th graders from across the county eagerly and anxiously waited by their computers and mailboxes, and 20 newly selected theater students received the news they'd been waiting for.
I think the moment I found out I got accepted into the center was in March, right before the coronavirus came around.
When I first got my acceptance letter, I had very, very low expectations. My family had already been planning to move to Hanover, so honestly, I just wanted to see if I could make it.
I remember being nervous during the auditioning process.
I'm so nervous, I'm honestly gonna puke.
I was surprised to know that the day I had an audition will also be my birthday. Yes, for body affairs. I was totally nervous and excited at the same time. In some crazy way, I believed that that day would be my lucky day since it was my birthday.
I had started my monologue. It went all right for about 3 sentences. I had tried to speak, but it felt like my throat was constricting. My knees felt weak, and I was tense. I had tried to recover, but I couldn't speak at all. I stared at the ground for about 30 seconds, but it felt like years.
I had got home thinking there is absolutely no way I'm going to make it in.
After the audition, I felt good about it, except for the improv and writing piece. That's not really my thing.
I was worried about how I did. What if I wasn't as dramatic as they wanted?
The whole day was tense.
I told my parents, oh, I probably didn't make it, and my mom said, what if you did?
I remember emailing my friends every hour to tell them another hour had passed.
My hands are shaking, my head spinning, thoughts racing, paper ripping. What do I do if I don't get in?
I didn't want to get too excited, just in case I didn't get in.
I was going to cry if I didn't get in.
But I did think about it every hour.
I was also going to cry if I did get in.
I knew that what it said would determine my next 4 years.
Whatever the outcome would be, I would cry.
I'm gonna meet a whole bunch of weirdos just like me, and I'll be surrounded by the most fun, nice, and interesting people I will ever meet. Not only that, but I will have an even bigger motivation to get up and go to school in the morning because I know I'll be in theater every day doing what I love.
I waited all day and nothing came. I was a mess, but one of those messes that didn't know how to react.
I ran to the computer and logged in.
At first, we see what schools my sister got into. Obviously, all of them, because she's the smart one.
I got a text from my mom while I was doing my homework.
I closed my eyes, and my mom started cheering. I was like, what? What? It read, accepted.
I was jumping up and down, full of excitement. It was like my dream come true. And I was one step closer to being accepted for who I am.
I opened it and saw it was a picture from an email my mom had gotten. My eyes skimmed through it before my heart sped up. I got in! I was so shocked and so excited. I was so happy to see that I put myself out there and it paid off.
I read the header. Welcome to the center. Happy tears flood my eyes, laughs of joy and of surprise.
I cried as I sat on my parents' bed. They gave me hugs and congratulated me.
My mom sent me a screenshot of the email, and at the bottom she wrote, "Congratulations." I felt this weight remove itself from my shoulders, and I finally relaxed.
I walked into the kitchen lazily, eyeing the letters that had just arrived. "You first," I said, pointing at Helen. She nervously opened her letter and read through it.
"I made it,"
she finally replied. Opening the flap of the envelope, I pulled out the piece of paper and read through it. "Guess I'm gonna be a new light guy," I said.
And the cherry on top, my stepbrother also got in.
I was so happy I started singing and dancing. My mom thought I was crazy.
Later that night, the hot sign was on at Krispy Kreme, so I got donuts. Yay!
Even after saying I wouldn't go, I just felt like I had to. After a day or so, I told my mom that I really wanted to go. She agreed and we found a house in the county. I'm so happy she let me stay and go to Henrico.
I remember being so thankful that the school was giving me a chance. I knew that if I wanted to have the best high school experience possible, I wanted it to revolve around something that's important to me.
When I got my acceptance letter, I was excited and happy that all my hard work so far had gotten me to where I wanted to be.
I knew today was my lucky day.
I told everyone. We had a small celebration in my family, and then COVID.
March 13th, 2020. A date few students will ever forget. At least 2 weeks. I was confused. How is this going to work? How will this affect my grade? How long until I can go back? Will I be able to fully experience my summer? I was scared. I had originally thought that this was just going to be a small event that didn't impact anything. But there we were, getting school canceled. I was upset. I was tense. But mainly, I was just tired.
In April, the first wave of the coronavirus peaked. Frontline workers rose to the occasion. They were challenged to go out when everyone else was encouraged to stay inside. Full of power and resiliency, they faced our fears for us. While taking care of the community and being the support and family to those who had to face this virus alone, they were unable to be close to their own loved ones. In hospitals, clinics, and homes around the world, healthcare workers are taking on significant personal risk and too often working without adequate equipment to ensure all of us can receive the care that we need.
I feel like I'm on a roller coaster here. The first couple of nights I was there were way worse than I thought they would be, in terms of how the patients were doing, of course. From the time I walked in there to tonight, there were a number of patients who really needed an emergency care. I don't know what's going to happen to those patients. It's too soon to tell, but we've had to be pretty aggressive in our interventions. But, you know, the patient that almost died last night is still here, so I guess that's a sign of hope.
There's only so many machines. There's only so many nurses. There's only so many hours in a day. So, who gets it? Who decides who gets it? I'm signed up for rationing care. I don't think any of us signed up for that. So that's the latest struggle. I'm beginning to notice how things are a lot different from, normal times.
There's trouble, there's challenges getting x-rays, challenges getting certain kinds of medications. This is all different than what would normally be happening if we had the resources.
So, I just finished an 18-hour shift at the hospital, and excuse me, we had this patient today. He's a young guy, probably his early 20s, and he's on a ventilator. And he's been handwriting notes to his parents and his other family members because, well, they can't come and see him, which is really sad, but he's really mentally with it, so that's important, and he knows what's going on, so that's good. But anyways, he's been handwriting notes to his family, and we read the notes over FaceTime call, and so they can still kind of know what he has to say throughout all this, because I'm sure his mind is just racing with all this stuff, and so is the family's. It's hard to watch, because I know he knows what's going on, but he's not doing so well. I mean, out of all the people we've had in his condition over the last 10 days, he's doing the best because he was able to come off the ventilator for a little while, which is good, but it's still rough, so we'll see. But he wrote on one of the notes today that he's not going to give up, And I believe that he's not going to give up. I truly do. But he's got all these IVs and tubes, and he's on all his medication. But he's still not going to give up. So with that fighting spirit, I know we'll beat this thing.
Even on my day off, even as a per diem, I feel like I have to go in because this is war and it's not going to get any better if we call out. My colleagues have been here, they remain here. And the message that we are sending each other is that we are here for each other, here for our patients, and we are going to get through this crisis.
Physicians are used to fixing problems and helping people. That's why we do what we do. But when there aren't medications that work, or ventilator settings that can get people enough oxygen and get rid of their carbon dioxide, it's really stressful. On top of that, a lot of the doctors here have friends, colleagues who are critically ill in other hospitals. So they're constantly thinking about and worried about these people in addition to being worried about their own patients. Many of the doctors here are living away from their families to prevent getting their family members infected. So they're going through this really stressful, challenging time basically on their own. So far, people are coping by not really thinking about it and not processing it and just showing up and doing the work the best that they can and hoping it gets better.
As we talked about with masks are not the best protector. You have to keep away from people, and that is where social distancing comes into play. Everybody got to do their part. It is really difficult, and people are still finding ways to get out. Dr. Foster today talked about going for a run in the evening. You have to get out when it's safe to get out, and you can't speak to other people. You have to congregate in small groups of your family and find the ways that you can live a normal life without communicating with other people and keeping your distance.
We have never seen times like this in nursing and in the world, and it's scary every day. But every day we just love and care bigger and keep pushing forward because that's what we do. That's what nursing is. We run towards people while the rest of the world, hopefully, can stay away, you know? It's what we're here for.
You tell me I'm free.
You tell me I'm equal. You tell me I'm wanted, but our blood on your ground teaches its own sequel.
I can't
breathe. That badge that you wear, that code that you stand by, it's full of. No more cries, no more pain, no more protest.
We just playing the game, that's what they say.
Yet we keep on dying, mothers crying, souls are flying, our government's lying. This land we call a country is horrifying, and
I can't breathe.
Sky is lit by those flames that howl for justice, but we can't fight for no justice if y'all are bloodless, gutless. Man, it made me disgusted to stand with the black soul gone from the face of this earth.
You were not born racist.
You
Were.
taught.
How many others? From the beginning of time, we were held down, taught to keep our head down.
Taught to slam that shovel into the hard ground.
Taught by a whip that cracks with its own sound.
Taught to be happy with the concept when we let downs.
They handed me my life. I looked at it and had a breakdown because I knew my life was doomed as soon as I take off that cap and gown.
We are in a state of emergency, an emergency that needs a revival.
The black boy in prison, the black boy in the streets, the black girl with dreams, the black girl's been made obsolete.
America didn't get better. We just made it look better.
You're still slaves.
Slaves of poverty.
Slaves of the media.
Slaves of mental illness.
Slaves of the demon that roars in the night.
Slaves of the land that was stolen in broad daylight.
I can't breathe.
I get scared when I walk down the street. I get scared when I hear knocking at my door. I get scared when the cop passes me by because I don't know if that's my final goodbye.
I am the black boy, broken by blue-suited bullies, buried by bloody bullets, being broke because bliss brought bruises.
From the beginning of time, you've taken and taken and taken from those burnt, sunny summer fields. You've taken and taken and taken from the man trying to take care of his children. You've taken and taken and taken your knee to my neck.
And as a wise leader once said, it's not a chip on my shoulder, that's your foot on my neck.
So if I can't breathe, my black life doesn't matter. I can't wait for your rose-tinted glasses of America to be shattered.
I'm always asking myself why this happened. Like I would know the answer. I keep asking myself, like, one day the answer would just appear in my lap and all my problems would be solved and all this would go away. It's not easy thinking like this. It's not easy living like this. And I know that you know it's the truth. I mean, my house is cool for like a week or two at most. But then I miss the people. I miss my class. I miss my friends. I mean, I've been sitting here so long that I miss those kids that I've never even met before. I used to think of them as randoms, but now we're all randoms. Just people floating around in the atmosphere, both scared and outgoing, absent and present. Honestly, Showcase was the only thing that kept me in it. Without that, I'm pretty sure I would have tuned out the second they said, no school for 2 weeks. That 2 weeks has been a long time, huh? Well, at least we'll see each other next. Never mind. Bye.
To be honest, the end of the school year was really dissatisfying. I always thought senior year was supposed to end in this big finale way, so it was very unexpected that it ended so anticlimactic. And college is actually pretty okay. I mean, other than the fact that we are constantly online. The work isn't really hard. It's kind of like high school. If anything, it's pretty underwhelming. Overall, by the end of the year, I'm really disappointed that we didn't get a prom. I was so looking forward to it. And to know we didn't have the option for a prom sucked. And this stupid pandemic made it a lot harder to transfer into my college and classes in my dorms. We couldn't even meet the dorm head. Everyone is so isolated from each other, it's not even funny. It makes it harder to make friends and we barely get any time in class. With the virus, I felt pretty scared of getting it, but coming from a place of privilege, I also kind of felt relieved. Because it also made it easier dealing with senioritis. I actually didn't go to the raceway for graduation. But I do believe their use of the raceway was the best they could have done. I do wish we had a real graduation though. But I understand the circumstances we were in. Overall, I'm fine. I'm still holding on to as much as I can take, my sanity. But in the long run, I think I'm gonna be okay.
I didn't expect to feel like an adult for another few months. But when COVID hit, I basically already graduated. I thought there was more time, and then there wasn't. Half of the time after we were let out, I had to ask myself, am I supposed to be doing something right now? The only thing I really had left were AP exams and senior showcase, which both really weren't the best. I only really participated in showcase for extra training, though it felt a lot better because it was optional and wasn't weighed down by the people who didn't want to do it. But having to throw everything out the window that we planned, it was disappointing. I was really looking forward to doing our showcase on stage, going out with a bang. It was supposed to be our performance and ours alone, one last time to perform with my peers. Although showcase wasn't what we wanted, I regained a sense of feeling special during graduation. To be honest, I wasn't looking forward to just sitting at a ceremony for hours, waiting for my name to be called and then wanting to leave. I actually wasn't even planning on doing the substitute events. I didn't need to do them to feel like I graduated. The Raceway event did make me feel like all the work that I put in during my 4 years was worth it, so I'm glad I did it. And then I had more time to spend with family to celebrate afterwards. And going to a smaller college, I still had the option to go to classes in person. But since no one knew exactly what the virus would do, there were severe restrictions on us. But overall, the experience was better than high school. I didn't have 4 consecutive classes. I had breaks and even maybe 1 or 2 classes a day. I hope that soon there will be a time when I can walk around campus and talk to people without fear of contracting the virus.
Oh, me? Well, I can't say that I reveled in the chaos, but I certainly adapted. I could lie to you and say that me being in showcase was a definitive choice. However, I just kind of forgot it was still going to be a thing. And I mean, the freedom was glorious. I felt like one of those obnoxious freelance workers, you know? I mean, classes were much shorter, and I felt like this capitalist hustle-bustle society is forced to have an inkling of work-life balance. We have to. As far as the end of high school goes, I mean, I just think of those little Edwardian kids being sent home in 1919. Prom? I mean, cool, I guess, but this thing is global, man. America is obsessed with high school to a disturbing degree. As far as senioritis went, it was perfect. I made it worse. I exacerbated my symptoms. I mean, there were no opportunities for colleges to watch me slowly burn out from exhaustion if you end it right for all the festivities and whatnot. College is different. I moved in and all, but a lot of the roommates are gone. Classes are mostly online. It feels like I'm in some sort of experimental boarding school. And I'm bored. I'm so bored. In the end of the day, I think that all we can do, is wait for a sign from whoever's in charge that this little dark age is finally surpassed.
Well, when life gives you lemons.
Netflix and Pop-Tarts. Netflix and Pop-Tarts. Yeah, Netflix and Pop-Tarts.
Today I'm going to show you how to put this meatloaf in the oven in just 30 short minutes. I burnt my entire house to the ground. So...
I'm taking a nap!
You want to take a nap?
I'm taking a nap here.
Okay, take a nap right there then.
Good night.
Sometimes the world looks perfect. Nothing to read.
24th, the day the Olympic torch was to be lit in Tokyo. But it was not. So we're here at Henrico pick up the proverbial torch and bring you our own Olympic Games.
Our first competitor is Bethany Beans with a record speed of 273 miles per stair in the qualifying, looks ready for the gold. A three-time Godwin champion and a gold medalist in the Goosebumps Summer Games of '97. This veteran looks confident to add more gold to our vast collection.
Our challenger, Ginger Spiceburger, a rookie in the sport, looks to climb her way up the rankings, just to slide down it again. With a qualifying round of only 97 miles per stair, she will have her work cut out for her. Her only other competition, the infamous near-fatal preliminary at Hermitage last year. With grit, guts, and grit determination, she looks armed and ready for battle. Good evening, friends. I'm joined with my good friend Henry Halebud as we bring you the final stair slide to determine gold.
That's right, Jim.
It's Francis.
Sorry, Steve. This shouldn't be much of a fight. As we've seen the last 3 years, Bethany Beans has been destroying the competition, and her challenger, Ginger Spiceburger, looks to be way out of her league.
It looks like Bethany is about ready for her turn. Remember, the judges are looking for not only speed, but also a clean run down the stairs.
Oh, good point, Mike. Just like Beyonce, Bethany looks flawless.
A fantastic run by Bethany. Good speed and balance to begin with a clear dismount. A bit of a bobble with the landing. Should only be a mild deduction by the judges.
Right you are, Anthony. Let's take a look at that slow motion replay. Excellent form to start. A light grip on the railing as she prepares for the dismount. See how she extends both arms? And that smile tells us how she feels about the run.
Scores are in and the judges agree. A combined 9.5. That's going to be hard to beat.
Ginger's going to have to really dig deep to beat that score. Right, Mr. Jingles?
Ginger Spiceburger is ready for her run. Let's take a look.
Oh, the agony of defeat! Ginger slips right out of the gate and barely holds on. That's gotta hurt. Let's look at that slow motion replay just for fun. Ginger knew she had to jump out to a quick start in order to compete and completely overcommits. By the second stair, she is off the bear, and it's a good thing he's so fluffy. Otherwise, it could have been a lot worse. Clinging on for dear life, and I gotta say, she does not cling well.
I don't know what hurts more, the last run or her score. A combined 3.5. Ginger will have to settle for silver.
Or as I call it, first a loser. Well, there you have it. Bethany heads for the gold medal platform and Ginger heads for an ice pack. That wraps up the stair sliding. So, from me and Sir Remington Wainworth McFarnsworth III, good night, everybody! Mwah!
Hello, sports fans. Welcome back to the most mediocre sport known to man, the Doughnut Derby. I'm Johnny Eclair, and I'm joined by my co-host, Honey Mustard.
Our two competitors, Wendell Fendel Esquire IV and Shamalama Ding Dong, have been dancing around each other the past 9 months. Today, they face off in what can only be described as a diabetic's dream.
That's right, honey. Shamalama has been devouring the competition without leaving a single crumb, while Wendell has been dunking her opponents in coffee, not letting any of them come up for air.
There's no real way of knowing who'll win this, but honestly, my money's on Wendell.
Really? Because I'm on Team Ding Dong.
Well, may the best consumer consume. And they're off.
You can see our competitors are hungry for competition.
Ding Dong can barely contain herself. A reminder that this sport is not for the faint of heart.
While it is still anyone's game, Shamalama has taken the early lead.
I sure hope not. I've got my kids' college fund riding on this.
You don't have kids, honey.
I won't. Shamalama wins this.
In a stunning reversal, Wendell is pushed forward and is beating Ding Dong.
Employing the Bolivia technique, things are looking up for her.
Over on Shamalama's side, it seems she started slipping up.
Wendell has put her jaw into the lead and will not let go.
I can't believe my eyes. Every sports predictor we talked to said that Shamalama had this one in the bag.
Just goes to show, you shouldn't trust random people on the street, especially ones who don't even wear their mask.
It seems that Shamalama has lost control of herself and that Wendell will take the cake. Doughnut?
Can you believe it? Unless Shamalama can magically speed up the process, it seems that this is a victory for Wendell.
Well, Mr. Mustard, it seems I owe you $20.
You're darn tootin' you do. And if you don't have it the day quarantine is over, it's your kneecaps, buddy.
Well, folks, that was that. Tune in next year to see who can eat a Danish on a stick the fastest.
Welcome back. We're in the final moments of the gold medal round, and you can cut the tension with a knife.
That's right, Jim. I guess you could say that typically Battleship can be a real hit or miss kind of game. But this round is definitely a hit.
Right you are, Pat. Let's get our audience caught up. Team Canada started out very strong, employing the classic Fibonacci technique of bobbing and weaving through the early rounds, but stumbled a bit midway as Team Italy countered with a unique spin on the Gregorian defense that we've seen them employ all week long.
But in a stunning reversal, Team Canada fell short on a bracketing move employing both frigate and destroyer in what can only be described as a move for the ages.
Team Italy has closed the gap significantly since that point. It looks like they're ready for their next move.
G9.
Hit.
A gutsy move by the Italians, forcing the Canadians on the defensive.
I9.
Hit.
Oh, and the immediate response by the Canadians. The pace is maddening. It looks like Italy is not taking any time here.
H9.
Hit.
It looks like we're closing in on the victory. The next few moves could determine our victor.
B5.
Hit and sunk.
That's gotta hurt, Jim. Canada's clearly on the advantage. They must be feeling their grip around the gold.
Italy on the defensive now. I anticipate a Baxter maneuver will probably... Wait a moment. Wait a moment.
C7.
Hit.
A hit! A hit! Do you believe in miracles? Italy, in a shocking play, abandoned the Braxter and pulled off the impossible. A hidden frigate embankment that Canada clearly felt would pay off has come back to haunt them. Italy is one move away from victory.
This is it. Canada's down to one last move. A hit and the gold is theirs. A miss and certain victory for the Italians. The pressure is incredible. I don't know how he can handle it.
C8.
Miss.
Italy wins the gold! Italy wins the gold! Tell your grandchildren you were there when Italy pulled off the biggest upset in Olympic battleship ever! I may not ever wash my eyes again!
And there you have it! In a stunning upset, Italy comes away with the gold. When we come back, the medal ceremony.
July 4th, 2020. My gosh, my gosh, my gosh, I can't take this anymore. Binging TV has been great, but now I'm angry. Everyone on TV gets to hang out with their friends. Everyone on TV gets to go on adventures, make jokes, play games, and not wear a mask. Whenever I'm in public, I'm sick of having to wipe down everything I bring in the house. I'm sick of having to take all of my clothes off immediately and shower. I'm sick of all this fear. I'm sick of not seeing my friends and family. And I'm sick of all the people losing family members. I'm sick of anti-maskers and sick of everything on the news about people being sick.
When I think about John Lewis, I think about time. And I don't mean time moving by quickly like speeding bullets or time passing by slowly like paint drying. When I think about John Lewis, I think about time in its sense of its steadiness, its tirelessness, its perpetual forward motion. Time does what it does day in, day out, rain or shine, like clockwork, because it is clockwork. While Rosa Parks embodied so much the what and where of the civil rights movement in one simple yet strategic act, and both Malcolm X and MLK spoke powerfully to the why and the who of the struggle, John Lewis is the when. The clockwork my mind associates with the civil rights movement and America's still in progress internal battle with racial equality and equity. 8 decades in total. John Lewis, born to sharecropping parents in Alabama, beaten in Selma, revered in Washington, D.C., had a lifetime that truly reflected America's anything but inevitable and slow yet forward motion of racial equality from Jim Crow to America's first black president. His time may be highlighted by his work as the first chairman of SNCC or his leadership of a march on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, but there are entire decades in between that account for just as much, if not more, of his time serving as the clockwork of Black Americans' fight for equality in this country. The clockwork of John Lewis goes far beyond Bloody Sunday and the March on Washington, far beyond the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The clockwork of John Lewis that I have thought most about are the years between when John Lewis leaned into the less publicized but equally exhausting work of making a meaningful difference in millions of black lives as a political leader in Washington, in Atlanta, and in America that had yet to have a Barack Obama to hold up as proof of the United States' undying belief in itself and limitless possibilities for all Americans regardless of color or creed. I imagine that at various points during these decades, John Lewis's biggest battle was against indifference. I imagine that he often grew weary of his role as a timekeeper for Black America, but I also recognize that John Lewis's legacy, it is what it is because, like time itself, he kept going, kept fighting, kept leading minute after minute, hour after hour. He was the clockwork of America's civil rights struggle until others arrived to take up his fight. John Lewis's lifetime should teach all of us that this perpetual forward motion does not need to be inevitable in any single moment, but with that tireless effort and diligent work, we too can see progress in our lifetimes and leave a legacy of positive change. Much like the Honorable John Lewis, our responsibility as citizens, as activists, as leaders, be it with our words, our votes, or our collective action and protest, is to keep doing the same. Keep moving America's soul forward despite the indifference of far too many in this country, and to perpetually and tirelessly embody the clockwork of John Lewis. Standing on the shoulders of this courageous giant, helping to create an America that is in harmony with its founding purpose.
I have a confession. I started listening to One Direction. That is when I knew quarantine had broken me. Ever since I was born, I stuck to my music. I gained some and I lost some, but everyone can understand that. Opinions change and you grow as a person. I listened to The Grateful Dead, Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, Pink Floyd, Muse, Bowie, Black Sabbath, The Front Bottoms, and so much more. I mostly stuck to that and expanded to other genres, and I started listening to Johnny Cash, The Chicks, The Highwomen, Dolly Parton, and a bit of Garth Brooks if I was in the mood. Never once did I think I would listen to the one band I promised myself I would never listen to. For some reason, while sewing masks, I opened up YouTube and searched One Direction. It was like my brain had been replaced by those girls who were low-key mean to me in elementary school. At first, I started listening to them as a joke, but then it stopped being a joke. I remember one time at dinner, my dad asked what I was playing off the speaker, and when I responded that it was One Direction, he gave me this look of disappointment.
It's hard to think of three letters that have more resonance in modern-day American political life than R, B, G. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who died Friday at age 87, was a pop culture icon, the subject of movies and children's books, the face of posters and t-shirts, the rare political figure with a universally recognized epithet, notorious. Here we look back at some of Justice Ginsburg's more notorious words on equality, the law, and being remembered.
My mother said to be a lady. To her, that meant to be your own person. Be independent.
I didn't dare eat anything because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to keep it down. I was very nervous. I had a sentence written out, memorized, and then I looked up at the bench and thought, here are some of the most important judges in the country, maybe the world. And they have to listen to me. I have a captive audience. And suddenly, instead of being afraid, I had a sense of empowerment. I knew a lot more about gender discrimination than the 9 of them did.
It helps sometimes to be a little deaf. I have followed that advice assiduously, and not only at home, through 56 years of marital partnership, I have employed it as well, in every workplace, including the Supreme Court of the United States. When a thoughtless or unkind word is spoken, best to tune it out. Reacting in anger or annoyance will not advance one's ability to persuade.
When I'm sometimes asked when there will be enough women on the Supreme Court, and I say, when there are 9, people are shocked. But there'd been 9 men, and nobody ever raised a question about it.
Fight for the things you care about, but do it in a way that'll lead others to join you.
Throwing out pre-clearance when it has worked and is continuing to work to stop discriminatory changes is like throwing out your umbrella in a rainstorm because you are not getting wet.
I tell law students that if you're going to be a lawyer, then you have a skill very much like a plumber. But if you are going to be a true professional, then you must do something outside yourself, something that will make life a little better for those less fortunate than you.
We care about this institution more than our individual egos, and we are all devoted to keeping the Supreme Court in the place that it is, as a co-equal third branch of government, and I think a model for the world in the collegiality and independence of judges.
To make life a little better for people less fortunate than you. That's what I think a meaningful life is. One lives not just for oneself, but for one's community.
Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. On September 23rd, a grand jury failed to charge 3 officers with the death of Breonna Taylor. She was a frontline worker, passionate about helping others. Black girl magic is real. Breonna Taylor had her magic taken too soon from this world. Black girl magic is a term coined by Kashawn Thomas to celebrate the beauty, power, and resilience of Black women. We can honor and give justice to Breonna Taylor, not only by saying her name, but by embracing and creating a space where all girls, but Black girls in particular, are taught to value their worth.
Growing up as a kid, I hated my dark skin. And if I could be transparent, even now as a grown woman, I have to constantly reprogram my thinking. The years of being told that I was not the standard for beauty. But see, that was a lie. Which is why I had to rewrite my own narrative.
Dear Black girl, we are warriors whose spirit cannot be crushed. We speak up when we're told we're too much. We forgive our Black men who dismiss, degrade, and can't see that we are not the ugly duckling, but the swan princess,
the Nubian goddess,
the reflection of our ancestors,
the maiden's image. When society tries to pin light skin versus dark skin, we remind them that every shade of chocolate is divinely crafted. When Black girl magic is more than just a hashtag.
It is a movement, a statement, like Maxine Waters reclaiming our power, moving through this world unapologetically, degree holding, with our heads held high, melanin moisturized, big hips, thick thighs, hair free and natural. Or wrapped in a protective style.
Dear Black girl, you better recognize we are the trailblazers. Everybody wants to be us. So, to all my sisters, as we continue the process of loving our skins, start with this. Look at yourself in the mirror. This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
The chocolate beauty, deserving and saying, I am a queen. Dear Black girl, know that you are everything.
Warriors, today I have some sad news to share. Yesterday, Mr. Odom, CTE teacher and cross-country and track and field coach and TSA sponsor, passed away. His wife was at his side. If any student or staff need to process or speak to a counselor, there are links available in Schoology all day. Or you can email your counselor or admin directly. We are here for you if you need us. We are here to support you.
My dad came home from visiting my great-grandparents last weekend. My great-grandfather is not doing well. He's been sick for a long time, way before COVID started, and it just got really bad recently. My grandparents went to visit them immediately, and my aunts and uncles soon followed. My dad went up, but no one in my house did. My great-grandparents live near a ton of family members, so there were a lot of people there. None of them believe that the virus is real, so none of them took the proper precautions. My dad came back and immediately took the COVID test. I remember being freaked out the rest of the day. If my dad had it,
And someone at my great-grandparents' house had it too. Everyone I know went to that house that weekend. Some of my family members are still there. I remember just falling apart and saying to myself that I was just done with COVID and quarantines. We just got the results back. He's fine, but if he wasn't, I'm not sure what we would have done.
Could you chew any freaking louder? What's in there? Gravel?
Quarantine has been tough. Real tough. There have been many times that I've been fed up. Constantly having to be around my siblings. Being cooped up inside for months at a time. Being bored enough to consider a trip to Kroger as an acceptable social life. But the one thing that broke me, the one thing that really broke me, was when I completely ran out of things to be annoyed with. When being around my siblings no longer angered me. When I would do my chores out of sheer boredom. When I would put away my dishes because what else would I do? What was happening? Had quarantine really affected me enough to where I just did things like a responsible person? Had my personality really grown? Was there really such thing as character development? And finally, was I becoming a better person?
This is what I want to know. What happened to the murder hornets? I mean, it's like they just came and they terrified us for one single day in May, and then they just, like, went off back to Mexico or something. Like, everyone hyped it up like it was going to be the biggest event of 2020. Killer bugs. But no, it wasn't. It was merely a disappointment. It seems like it was just like a one-off episode in the TV show that is 2020. And like they tried to put it in, but it never got finished because they had all this other stuff with the virus and the protests were coming up and the election and the wildfires even. And you know the World War III threat at the beginning of this year? Yeah, that lasted longer than these insectoids. Like they just went away so suddenly, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't seem like 2020, you know? Unless it does. You know, here's my theory. Here's my theory. The murder hornets, okay? They went underground. Alright, hear me out, because it makes sense. Do you think they would have gone back to Mexico? Because they can't. There's a wall there. And they can't fly over the wall or fly to a different country because flying is banned. There's the Rona. Nothing can fly, and so where else to go if they're not here? Well, where else to go but down? Burrow into the ground, take out the ants. They are the murder hornets after all. It's something they would do. And what's the reasoning for doing this? They're going to collapse. They are digging their caves under every single major city in the U.S., and they're going to collapse it on the end of 2020. On December 31st, they're going to collapse all those caves that are under all the major cities and bring on the end times of 2020. And how do I know this? How do I know this? How do I know this? Because the bees, they did it before in 1871. They tried to do it before in 1871 because they tried to burn down Chicago. Now, they say it was a cow. It wasn't. It was bees dressed like cows. And what proof do I have of this? I don't. But it's there. I know it. And there's even more. Like, just...
In November, America went to the polls and in record numbers made their voice known. While the world watched as we cast our ballots for the next president, history was being made in the role of vice president. Kamala Harris, born to Jamaican and Indian immigrants, became the first woman elected as vice president, the first Asian, the first person of color, and the first person to have graduated from a historically black college. Most importantly, she is the first person that any young person, regardless of race or gender, can look up to and think, one day, that could be me.
Brown girl, what do you see? I see a vice president that looks like me.
Brown girl, what do you do? I fought, I hope, I spoke what was true.
Brown girl, what do you know? That there are strong women that want me to grow.
Brown girl, what do you feel? That black girl magic will help us all heal.
Brown girl, what do you see? I see a world that sees my skin before it sees me.
Brown girl, what you gonna do? March, fight, and create till I make this world new?
Brown girl, how are you so strong? Because I have queens in my blood that help me push along.
Welcome back to Jeopardy. We only have one category remaining, CFA Theater. Brady, you have the board.
Yeah, I'll take, CFA Theater for 200, please.
The Tyrannosaurus Rex, Allosaurus, Stegosaurus, and this mammal all existed in the Jurassic era.
What are Morgan new codontids?
I'm sorry, but no.
What is a snake?
Absolutely not.
What is Mr. Ritter?
Correct.
CFA Theater for 400.
Tires, billiard balls, eagles, and Mr. Ritter all have this in common.
What are skateboard moves?
Not even close.
What are symbols of peace and harmony?
Incorrect.
What is bald?
Very good. You're on a roll and have control.
I'll take CFA Theater for 600.
On an iPhone, TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat all have this in common.
What are telephone applications or apps?
No.
What are ways to show off my sick lacrosse moves? Just no. Ugh.
How did you even get on this show?
What are apps Mr. Ritter can't figure out?
Correct again. And the final question is, of all the plays, actors, and events of theater history, this is Mr. Ritter's only wish that you learn in his class.
What is the classic struggle between fate and mankind in Sophocles' epic play Oedipus Rex?
Sorry again, but no.
Who is Adam Sandler? The best actor ever.
Security.
What is the difference between a screw and a nail?
Right again. Well, it looks like a runaway. Now let's take a look at the final category for Jeopardy. Mr. Ritter's jokes that are actually funny. Looks like a hard one. The clue in a moment.
November 15th, 2020. I've had it with quarantine, not because of quarantine itself. I feel like that's a necessary evil to keep us all safe, just like wearing a mask or brushing your teeth. I'm tired of everyone acting like children because of quarantine. Adults, government workers, our president. It feels like no one's thinking things through, and people are only considering themselves when making decisions for everyone. Every little thing nowadays comes down to, are you just thinking about yourself, or are you considering the livelihood of everyone around you? I feel like that can be applied to every obstacle that's been brought to the spotlight recently. Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, even the decision to wear a mask. Everyone keeps talking about the before things got bad, before COVID, before the protests. I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone say, I wish we could go back to normal. I feel like if there's one thing that this pandemic has proven, it's that the before and normal were awful. I'm ready for after COVID, after the multiple pandemics that plague America, after everyone just grows up and starts acting with a little bit of kindness and respect that every human should show one another.
Today, the annual Rockefeller tree arrived in downtown Manhattan. After its 2-hour drive, the 11-ton, 75-foot tree looked a little tired. Missing a few branches and a little bit out of shape, the city workers began their work when they discovered a stowaway on board, a tiny owl that was appropriately named Rocky. Many wondered if this was just one of 2020's last insults. But I see it as a metaphor. Yes, we've all been through some things, and yes, we've all been taken on a wild ride, whether we like it or not. But, like the tree, we just need a little time to relax. You know, a little makeup, a few extensions, and we'll be all right. So, go ahead, 2020. Do your worst. By Christmas, we'll be doing just fine.
I'm thankful for my parents. My parents are immigrants, and they've somehow made a wonderful living for themselves with the odds stacked against them. And now, thanks to them, I live incredibly comfortably. As the pandemic has kept on keeping on, people all over have lost their livelihoods. My mom's workplace had to close down because they weren't getting any business. Yet even with that, we were still able to survive plentifully. Then now she has another job, but we can still smile and laugh with each other.
I am thankful for all the frontline workers for risking their lives for us. I am thankful for the teachers for teaching, even if it's demotivating to look at little initials every day. I am thankful for my family, as much as they annoyed me, for helping me stay positive. And I am thankful for my mom for helping my family, even if she literally cannot find the words.
Okay, hear me out. I think I've benefited from quarantine. I mean, I've been able to take care of and pay more attention to my mental health. I've been able to be the real me more without any fear of being judged. And I'm finally getting to the point where I'm not searching for other people's approval. Quarantine has given me the opportunity to learn things about myself that I didn't even know before.
The elixir of life produces many things, like talks of love and enchanting dreams. But in times of woe, when humanity's hope for the future is low, the minute gifts that blossom with the new day begin to grow into insatiable flowers like they do in May. Although this blooming flower seems to be missing in our dark hour, we should feel no fear because God's divine power will once again bring everyone near. At times, it may seem difficult or overwhelming, but He is always there for when we feel lonely. Currently, the worldly matters that humanity is taking on seem to be too much for any man to dwell upon, so we must have patience and faith. Only then can we feel God's divine grace, even though the rest of the world may be in a dark place. This elixir of life does produce many amazing things, but it is fueled by a power greater than we could ever dream. So we must remember that even though this crisis is becoming bigger, we must find the positive substance in our own life's elixir.
In a few days, the ball will drop and 2020 will be over, a year that many of us have been waiting to see in the rearview mirror for a very long time. But was it all bad? Drive-in theaters have made a comeback. Wearing sweatpants all day, every day became fashionable. Puzzles and board games were dusted off as baking brought families back together around the table. People long for going back to the way things were, but we say, why settle for that when the world can offer so much more? So as the countdown begins, we say goodbye 2020 and hello 2021. We waited a long time for you to show up, and not to seem presumptuous, we have a list of demands.
2021, whatever you do, please come in here like you have some sense.
To see who I want when I want to see them.
I want to meet new people.
I want to go to church.
I want to go to a concert.
I hope that no one is hurt or degraded because of their skin color. 2021, I demand for more opportunities to make more projects.
To take my driver's test.
To be injury-free.
All you have to do is not be terrible.
I want to go to Chili's.
I also want to go to Chili's.
I want to go see plays with LeBron and Ishan again. And go to Chili's.
I would like to go out to a restaurant and not have to go back for my mask.
2021, it would be absolutely wicked if I could see a movie in a real theater.
To get into SCAD.
My 2021 demand is to lose less people than we did this year.
I want to play at card shops again.
In 2021, I am most looking forward to being able to see more of my friends and being able to hang out with them more.
I would also really like to see my friends again.
My 2021 demand is to be more independent.
I just want to make new friends.
I just want 2021 to be better than 2020.
I want to go to Maryland to see my family.
I want to spend my time doing things that I'm actually interested in, or at least do things on my own terms.
I want to go to California.
To go on road trips and have cookouts. To be able to see and talk and meet the wonderful people in my theater class.
I'd love a haircut.
More equality to all people.
I want to get out of the house.
I want Broadway to reopen.
Let me be able to hug people. I'm a big hugger.
I want to go outside and talk to people without masks on.
Quiero que este año sea mucho mejor que el anterior y esté lleno de oportunidades y felicidad para todos.
I want to travel outside of Virginia.
Hanging out with my friends and making new memories with them.
I want to be able to go to the park again.
I want snow.
I would like a year free of loss.
My wish for 2020 is that there would be no more wasps, because there really isn't anything redeemable about them in the slightest.
Do exactly what 2020 didn't. Let us be accepting of one another.
In 2021, I would like to have a normal college experience.
Pass all my classes.
One of my demands for 2021 is that we get to perform live with our friends again.
NYU, no cap.
Great job, guys. Really proud of y'all. You did a fantastic job.
Well, we just like to say thank you all for joining us tonight. That was an amazing show. I laughed, I cried, I laughed, I cried. It was fantastic. So proud of the students, so proud of our teachers. Thank you again for joining us tonight, and happy holidays. Bye-bye.